Welcome to Pennsylvania. Couldn't go to Pennsylvania without visiting Hershey. Milton Hershey actually started out in the 1880s with a caramel company in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It wasn't until he saw German-made chocolate processing machines in the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition that he decided to get into chocolate. He started making chocolate in 1894 and in 1900 sold the caramel company. In 1903 he moved the new factory to Derry Township, which is where Hershey was born. We enjoyed visiting the Daniel Boone Homestead. Daniel Boone was born here November 2nd of 1734. This is the main house, though not a lot of the original house that Daniel Boone was born in was left. To the left of the white walled underneath the porch is where the original cabin was, and it was a single-story cabin. After the Boone family moved away in 1750, it was sold to other families and they added on to it. And one of the last families actually tore down the original log walls of the cabin that he was born in and made rock walls. So the whole house was now stone. This is a small blacksmith shop that was out by the barn behind the house. Daniel Boone is known for trailblazing into Kentucky and starting Boonesboro, one of the first English-speaking settlements in the Appalachian Mountains. He was a militia officer during the Revolution, 1775 to 1783. He was captured by the Shawnees in 1778, but later escaped. He was elected to 3 terms in the Virginia General Assembly and fought in the Battle of the Blue Licks in 1782. He also worked as a surveyor, merchant, and land speculator. He died September 26, 1820, at 85 years of age. Though he is buried in Frankfort Cemetery in Kentucky, not here at the homestead. And this house was a neighbor's house, the Bertolette House. It was built in 1737 in the Olay Valley and was moved here to the Daniel Boone Homestead in 1968. And that's their smokehouse. So these were neighbors of Daniel Boone. And though you can't see it, that door is pretty short. And then on to Gettysburg. Quite an emotional place to be, knowing all that occurred there. The amount of artifacts that they have on hand was just unbelievable. Looking at that tree, you can see some in the video, but it was amazing how much grape shot, canister shot, shrapnel, and other damage was done to that tree stump from the fighting. This is McPherson Ridge, where the battle actually started July 1st of 1863. About 8 o'clock in the morning, just to the west beyond McPherson's barn, the two sides clashed. The Eternal Light Peace Memorial, 75 years after the war, over 1,800 Civil War veterans helped dedicate this memorial to peace eternal in a nation united. Just amazing, the sheer amount of monuments up for all the different units from both sides of the military, and how amazingly close they were. I know the tactics have changed a lot over the decades and centuries, but it's just amazing to see how close they camped. They could see each other. Just an amazing place to explore and just see the sights, knowing what occurred. This is where Pickett's charge originated from. Soldiers headed out to confront the Union in an effort to break the Union line. And though the Union were outnumbered 7,000 to 12,000, they managed to hold their line, and the Confederates had heavy losses in this battle. The 20th Maine. It's kind of an amazing story. Colonel Joshua Chamberlain at the time was put on the left flank of the Union line and was basically told, you have to hold. After being charged 6 separate times and holding, but realizing his men were running out of ammunition, he ordered them to bayonets, and they charged down the hill. And that managed to hold that line. He ended up getting the Medal of Honor for that action. The wheat field had extensive battles on the 2nd of July here. After charge and countercharge, this field was strewn with over 4,000 dead and wounded just in this one location. Heavy losses on both sides. Very emotional place to be. Pennsylvania monument was a very impressive monument. I had been looking for a family relative. I had a great uncle that was part of the 14th Pennsylvania Cavalry Volunteers. They happened to be at Harper's Ferry area during the Gettysburg battle, so he was not here. but still a very impressive monument. Had all the different units listed and all the different soldiers in those units. And this is the Soldiers' National Cemetery, where Lincoln gave his famous Gettysburg Address. His words are so much better than mine to describe the whole scene and what this battlefield means. But, in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to dedicate here to the unfinished work which they fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.